Well, first and foremost, I don't think business is for everybody. Some people are not meant for business. Some people don't like business, and that's cool. Like, everybody has their own flavor, like ice cream, you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of pain and stress that comes with being in business. You know? Like, you have to have a high pain tolerance. You have to have a high stress tolerance. Fear basically is just the your brain not knowing the results of the next step. But you have to learn how to live with that fear and do it anyway. I had to learn right away that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Right.
Like, I learned that in high school and applied that towards business once I got into business, of course.
All right, fam. Well, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is for you, wherever you're at. We appreciate you tuning into our podcast. The Mar and Vic podcast is the name that we have officially landed on. We had a lot of different ideas, but Lord knows that the podcast game is pretty, it's heavy. There's a lot of names, good names that are taken. So we figure, Mar and Vic.
If you guys got any ideas, definitely hit us up about it.
Well, no more ideas. We're done because if we keep taking ideas, it's never gonna, officially start. But MarVic podcast, guys, appreciate you guys tuning in. My name is Marlon Hernandez, one of the hosts. I got my business partner, Victor Rodriguez. What's up, my man?
How we doing? So I'm the co-host here, and today we actually got a special guest here. I've been knowing this man since 8 years ago, and just his journey has been amazing. He is the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. MBS himself.
Brian Lizama. Good to meet you guys. I'm not good to meet you guys. Good to see you guys again. It's been
Yes, sir.
It's been a long time, pre-pandemic, since we've seen each other, and good. Congrats on the podcast.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother.
Excited to be here.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely, man. I'm very excited as well to have you here. One of the things that once you got here that I said, I was like, man, when I first met you, you were driving a Volkswagen, a Jetta, and now you're pulling in a Lambo, man. How you living?
Quite an upgrade there. Yeah. Just a little faster than the Jetta, or
just a little bit, bro. just 10 times faster.
Right.
Yeah,
I see you kept the same color though, black.
Matte black, yeah. Oh, black to matte black.
That is matte, right? I was looking at it. Okay.
Yeah, it's matte black, but it has like a paint protection film on it, so it looks a little satin, but it's matte black.
Got you. I was wondering because I'm thinking about getting a wrap for my car.
Okay.
So I haven't done it yet. I've talked to a few people. Like, how much did you pay, if you don't mind me asking, for the wrap?
It came with it.
It came with it.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
It's just the color is matte black, which in Italian is like noir, something like that. But basically, it came with the clear paint protection film. So that's just like if you take off the wrap, it's just matte black. That's the color.
Got you.
But typically, from what I know, a good wrap will cost you like $3,500 today.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Like 4Gs, they have different levels on the quality.
Right.
Yeah. It looks off then because I was trying to wrap my Celica once upon a time, and they were charging me like $5,000 for the Celica.
Well, yeah. So from what I've heard, and I haven't talked to too many people, but like. One of the dudes that just fixed my car, I like to hit a lot of things on the freeway, so I'm fixing my car constantly. But one of the guys, he's got a connection for wraps, and he said there's different levels to it. Like you can get like a cheap, like 2Gs, 3Gs, 4G. So 5G sounds right about the same figures, and it's probably good quality. That'd be the only thing.
I would hope, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to get something that expensive and have it be low quality. But bro, your thing is looking sexy out there, man.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, it's looking real nice.
Without a wash. I know. I didn't even have time to wash it today. Yeah, man. That car, I was telling Victor earlier, that was like my dream car. It's kind of crazy, like my life, how it's transformed over the last few years. But literally, the life that I'm living today, I had it in my iPhone notes from 2014. So, like, down to the car, down to the house. Like, basically, what I've been living the last few years is basically what I wrote down 9 years ago. So that's
the power manifestation there, man. So let's talk about that actually a little bit. 2014, where were you at that point? Because I feel like sometimes we're in our own heads. We might not see it at that moment, and we might even get bashed on by people like, oh, why do you have that Lambo there? Like you'll never be able to have that. What was going through your mind in 2014? What was your state of mind at?
So 2014, man, I was just like probably 2 years into the financial business that I was in, and income was like under $50K a year, so my income wasn't good. The Jetta was breaking down. Don't buy a Jetta, guys. I think
buy a Lambo.
More reliable for sure. That Jetta had like 12 problems with it, bro. The back windows would roll up and down by themselves. So I'd be driving down the freeway, going to an appointment, and all of a sudden, like the window goes down. It's just like, and then I had
you hit like a speed bump, and then it just I feel you.
It had a mind of its own. I don't know what was up with that.
Yeah.
But the AC wouldn't turn on. It was just a bad car. But anyways, yeah, man. Back 2014, was just pretty much like really getting into the finance business, getting into basically my career, and I was struggling. I was struggling. I wasn't where I wanted to be. At that point, I was 23 years old.
Right.
And when you're young, I feel like you want to succeed like yesterday. You're like, shoot. If I'm in business, if I don't succeed within the next 2 years, like, man, I don't know what's going on. Like, we get desperate
quickly.
Yeah. And I was at that point. I was like very desperate. I was like trying to succeed, not where I wanted to be. But I just knew that if I kept taking shots on myself and betting on my future, that eventually it was going to come to fruition. So at that point, yeah, man, I was living in a little apartment.
Right. In Bell Gardens.
Bell Gardens, yeah.
I'm a witness to that, so I could attest to that.
Yeah.
Off by the Chevron.
Gage, and what's that other street, bro?
Florence.
Eastern.
Gage
and Eastern, yeah. right next to the Motel 6. Yeah. That was my backyard, Motel 6.
You grew up in BG?
No, so I grew up in when I was a kid, like from 0 to 8. Norwalk. We moved around a lot when I was a kid.
But everywhere's like, it's all near there.
Yeah. And then eventually my parents ended up moving to Downey when I was like 8 years old. So from 8 years old to adulthood, I was in Downey. Right. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You went to Warren, right?
Downey High School.
Downey High?
Yeah,
Warren. For some reason, I thought it was Warren.
Warren's embarrassing. Don't talk about Warren. By the way, Downey and Warren, they're going to have a football game at the SoFi Stadium in a couple weeks.
I got that email.
Yeah. That's kind of like the rivalry that Roosevelt and Garfield have in East LA. They play at ELAC Stadium.
I have no idea when it comes to high school rivalries or anything. No. My high school was full of rich Jewish kids.
Where'd you go?
I went to Oakwood School. It's off the 170, if I remember my freeways correctly, going to North Hollywood. You know where North Hollywood High is?
Yeah.
So literally down the street, there's like a small private school. That's it. And they had back then they didn't have a bridge, but now I've seen like recent pictures. They built a bridge going from one side of the school to the other. Mm-hmm. So that was my
part of the Make-A-Wish, foundation.
I was part of the, the white schools need some diversity. We need some brown kids in our, classroom. So
you got chosen based on your skin color.
Skin color. Well, truth be told, I mean, all jokes aside, like this all started in elementary school.
Okay.
So elementary school, I grew up in Koreatown. I went to Hoover Street Elementary. Shout out all the Hoover Hawks, if there's any still alive. I don't know. But I went there, and my 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade teachers, they were all like really close to each other. And I think the 3rd grade teacher, her sister was the principal's wife at this private school in Encino.
Okay.
So that's where it all started for me, where I always excelled, books-wise, if you will. Like I always was the smarter kid in the classroom and the gifted program, whatever the hell you call it.
Same here, the GATE program.
The GATE program, all that stuff.
Education.
That's what I meant earlier.
My teachers would...
Were you there too, Vic?
No, hell no.
Oh, okay.
No, bro. I was straight in the ghetto.
Okay. He was in a different kind of gate program. The one behind the gate to make sure. No, I'm just kidding.
The hood.
Yo,
my school wasn't even a high school. It was a learning center. Like, it wasn't even considered.
They didn't even call it a high school?
Yeah,
where'd you go?
It's Elizabeth Learning Center off of Elizabeth Street in the city of Cudahy.
Okay.
Cudahy.
Yeah.
Hey, but look at us, though. Different backgrounds, different high schools and shit. Here we are, coming together and shit. But
so Marlon, you grew up in that money high school. No wonder you always came across a little bougie, bro.
Back then in Primerica?
Nah, just the way you carry yourself.
In general?
The way you carry yourself.
I think his words, his vocabulary was
my language been a bit developed. Yeah, I've been exposed to,
He spoke a little more sophisticated.
Yeah, I feel it.
A little bit more.
That makes sense.
Right.
I was still learning how to read in book club, and he was like, saying all these big words. I'm like, yo, what does that mean?
It's a requirement, and thankfully all that stuff happened, but. Yeah, it's truth be told, they needed more diversity. Like they needed more, kids of color, more black kids, Latinos. And the first school that we got plugged into, like it was just me. It was me, Henry, and I think 2 other kids younger than us, and they just threw us in there. And So with these schools,
so that must have been uncomfortable, right? In some way, like as far as like wanting to do better.
So back then, bro, with from what I remember, just where my mindset was at middle school, the only discomfort came from like, it actually wasn't even school related. It came like, it came from the after school life, and here's what I mean, like. I'm not kidding when I say like a lot of these kids and families were and still are Jewish. So, we Latinos, we have our quinceañeras, right? For our female Latinas, and the Jewish community, they have their bat mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs, which I'm sure you guys have heard of. So the discomfort came there where like these kids, everybody would want to hang out after school. Like, yo, let's go to the movies. Let's go here. We got a party here. And it's kind of like, yo, I'm all the way in the hood. I'm in South Central. I'm 2 hours away.
Oh, so you weren't even close to the school?
No. I mean, Encino. So I grew up in Koreatown. We got that scholarship. We moved to South LA. We were there for probably I was in Koreatown for 10 years. South LA, another 10 years. And it was, I mean, you know how LA is though. Everything's close, but it's not, due to traffic. Things, can get pretty long. But that's where the discomfort started, where it's like, oh, I can fit in with you books wise and intelligence wise and grades and shit, but when it comes to hanging out after this and having money to go see a movie or even having a ride, that's where that separation it was living in two worlds. So it's funny you asked that, because
actually sorry to cut you off there, but similarity. So I went to Elizabeth Learning Center in Cudahy, but in 2007 my parents decided to move to Bakersfield. So we actually made the move to Bakersfield. So for me, I went from living in the hood to going to a nice neighborhood. Suburban. I actually have nice neighbors that say good morning. So
you leave your doors unlocked.
Yeah, legit. Hey, so-and-so wants to play with you. You want to come over, ask your parents. And I'm like, ask my parents. Parents don't care. They let me go out.
I'm a grown-ass man.
Yeah, exactly. But going into academic-wise school, I was a 7th grader there. And I realized how behind we were academically in Los Angeles, where I was like, damn, dude, I remember my teacher, history teacher, I cheated on an exam and he caught me red-handed. Gave me an opportunity. He said, study up, tomorrow retake the test. I think he felt bad for me, right?
For sure he felt bad for you.
That was in Bakersfield?
Yeah, I was in Bakersfield. Still failed the test, though.
Should just took the first L.
Open book test.
The first L.
Yeah. But you know what? I feel like he knew that I was behind, right? But academically-wise, I was never the one to really, study or try to do homework. To me, it was all boring. And it's funny because talking to my older sister, Rocio now, my sister Melanie, the youngest one, she's very similar to me. She's smart. She just doesn't like to do the work when it comes to academics, to be able to solve a math problem.
Do the homework.
Do all that, right?
All the time, yeah.
So it's funny because the other day, Melanie, she had me cracking up because she goes, hey, look, even our handwriting is similar. Because I was telling her, oh, you're just like me. You know the material, you just don't want to do it because it's you don't want to put in the work to do that. It's boring to you, right? You just want the answer. And so then she goes, oh, look, even our handwriting is the same. That's kind of embarrassing. I'm 28. I'm still writing like shit.
Hey, no shame in that, bro. I got chicken scratch too, bro.
Right. But going back to Bakersfield, growing up with, white people now, being exposed to that, them telling hey, my parents want to meet your parents so that we could hang out. To me, that was different, and I definitely felt excluded from all that. And I actually experienced racism. During being there, 7th grade, I remember, recess, trying to play football with the white kids, and they're like, nah, you're not one of us. And I was like, oh, shit.
What you mean?
Yeah, I remember.
I got balls, too.
Yeah. I legit went home, and I cried that day because I had never experienced that. I felt very left out of place, and, ashamed in a sense of being Latino.
Yeah, it's different when you go, if I put myself back in those days, when you're the minority, it hits you differently. Because when you're a family and shit, you're surrounded by brown people and shit, your own, you feel comfortable. But when you get exposed to that different world, and they may not directly, in this case, they directly told you that shit, but sometimes they're not that direct. And it's not a good feeling, but we pushed through, you know what I'm saying? For me, bro, it was more like this is a great opportunity, you know, to just be learning and be here, and I'm just going to take it and do what I can. So anyways, like my high school didn't have a football team. So that's where, you know, bringing it full circle, like we didn't. So when you talk about like Downey versus, I have no idea, but
I see what you mean.
Yeah. I can't really relate there. And
he was playing soccer.
Love
football though. Yeah. I know you played football.
Yeah, I played
too,
football at Downey High School.
That's what's up. We're gonna have to pull up the yearbook there and
the highlights,
pictures.
YouTube.
Yeah, pull up
Were you good?
Pull up the stats.
Yeah, pull up the stats.
I mean, first of all, I'm like 5'6", right? Yeah. So that didn't help me. That didn't help me. No, I was a middle linebacker my senior year, junior year. I was a starter, defensive team captain in the final season, but
that says a lot, bro. Yeah, leadership already.
Yeah. But nah, it wasn't easy, bro. I mean, I'm 5'6", so it's like 5'6" on a good day. I had to really work my ass off to get to a starting position, you know, especially like there's white kids, there's black kids, there was like
taller kids,
dude. Like my backup was like 6'1". I'm 5'6", bro. So
hey, but for you to start over him,
correct.
That says a lot.
Yeah, it's just I had to learn right away that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Right. Like I learned that in high school and applied that towards business once I got into business, of course.
You know, and that's something that I actually always admired about you, Brian, that I felt like you were always this competitive. You always have this competitive nature from you, right? And I feel like that's what really got you to where you're at, where it's like you're willing to go harder, you know?
Yeah. No, that's my special power, I guess you could say. If I had one, it's just the work ethic, you know. Growing up, I was always like an underdog. So like I said, I was in Norwalk, then we moved to Downey. So the reason why we moved to Downey was actually because in Norwalk, I guess I would always my teacher called my mom one day. She's like, "Hey, you know, your son, I don't think he belongs in this school."
Oh shit.
And then she's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Yeah, like every time I ask a question, he is always the first one to raise his hand. Like he always has the answer, and he doesn't really, like basically, my teacher had to tell me to stop raising my hand because I always knew the answer. I don't know how, I just always knew the answer." And she's like, "Your son belongs like in a better school system. We don't have any gifted programs here, so you should probably look for something." And that sparked my mom to like look at, hey, what schools have a gifted program for kids, and then that's when they took us to Downey, and I think that's what started everything. Just moving to Downey for me was like, it was a different world. From Norwalk to Downey, I mean, it's right next door.
Right.
But it gave me a lot of like uncomfortableness. And I was around a lot of kids that their parents had money.
Exactly.
You know, they were going to Disneyland every weekend. They were getting dropped off in Escalades and all that stuff. And for me, it's like, my parents
ride the bus.
Yeah, ride the bus, man. My parents, my mom's from Guatemala, my dad's from Mexico, and they both immigrated here. I think my mom legally, my dad illegally. It doesn't matter. But
they got here.
And you know, they worked 9 to 5s. My dad was a construction worker, and I seen him every day wake up at 4 a.m. to get ready for work, drop me off with the babysitter when I was a baby, and my mom works for the state, you know. So I seen them both work really hard to be able to buy a house in Downey. But even then, like, I felt like the poor kid, you know, growing up in that area. Yeah. Like, all the kids had nice shoes. I had shoes that talked.
I feel that. Yeah. No.
So it makes you want to be competitive, honestly.
Definitely. It brings a chip on your shoulder, and it just reminds me of Bakersfield 100%, you know, where it's like we had the nice house, and my parents worked their ass off to be able to pay for that house. But in 2008, you know what happened.
Yeah.
Market crashes, house devalues. Next you know, I'm seeing my parents, you know, like struggling to make payments. So going to school, I never had parents that dropped me off to school. It was always take the bus, walk. I never had the freshest clothes. I was that kid that would show up with a black T-shirt and a blue T-shirt the next day, and then put the black one again. Flip it back, yeah. 501s. I think I had like Nikes or maybe even Chucks at the time, Converse. But then you would see all these other kids, you know, like getting dropped off and having money for lunch and already driving to high school, like they had their own car.
That was like unimaginable for me, you know.
I remember that.
And I just remember, like, man, like that's when I started like dreaming one day, like, man, you know, one day I'm gonna have money and be able to do all this stuff. And it definitely gave me like a chip on my shoulder, but it also I started understanding that I was living a different life from these kids, you know, where I feel like we were faced the real road at a very young age.
Right.
And you start learning that you got to earn certain shit, you know, instead
Nothing's
of it
going to get handed to you.
Exactly. So I feel like that's why, you know, for us three, we walk a little different, I guess we could say, you know, because we know that everything we got, we've earned it.
Do you feel like, Victor, for you, like for those kids that like had the cars and stuff, do you feel like, you know, because you said, you know, you realized that you had to earn things and get it the hard way. Like, do you feel like they didn't have to do that necessarily?
Not at all. I don't mean it like in the sense where I'm sure they earned it in a different way, you know, and luck for them, you know, their parents were in a better financial situation where they were able to provide that for the kids, because I'm sure, you know, as parents, we want to give the best to our children. And I'm sure that they had to earn it in a different way. You know, maybe for them it was academic, you know, for them to be able to get that or do some type of chores or things like that. There's different, it's a different category. For me, it was like my parents, we didn't have that, you know.
But so do you think it's better, like
I feel like it gives you more maturity.
You feel like you mature quicker than they do?
Yeah, because for them, I feel like they feel like it's just given to them. So they don't know the sacrifice that their parents had to make to be able to put them in that position. Maybe later on they will, but I feel like when you gotta go through that dirt yourself and earn it, you value it a lot different. You don't make different mistakes. Like I had a friend that his mom would buy him a car and he would crash it, and the mom would still give him another car the next day, and he would go crash it again.
A lot more opportunity there.
Yeah, so he didn't value it.
Take it for granted.
He took it for granted. Yeah. For me, it was like, yo, like I remember my dad giving me it was a PT Cruiser Chevy. I was already like 19. It was all beat up, by the way. But I remember I cherished that thing. I drove it.
The PT Cruiser, bro. That was like the funeral car type of thing. Exactly. But those are crazy.
Man, I drove it like it was a BMW.
I'm sure you're happy as hell.
Yeah, just to be able to drive around, because at that time, whatever, we lose the house in Bakersfield, 2013. We're bankrupt. My dad had to file for bankrupt. We lose the house. My parents get divorced. You know, money, financial things didn't work out. I come to Los Angeles, and I decided to go to school in Montebello, Shore High School, instead of going to school at Elizabeth Learning Center, because I'm like, what future is there for me there? I might as well just go to Montebello. And every day, 4:30 in the morning, I would have to ride the bus all the way to a different city, and I would have to walk my ass up that hill. For those that don't know, Shore High School is on top of a hill. Off of Wilcox, you got to go up that hill. And I would walk up that hill. And just like yourself, I couldn't hang out with kids after school because I lived all the way in Cudahy. So I was like, hey, yo, we have this party. And I'm like, oh, shit, I don't got a car. I got to go all the way back I got to ride the bus. I don't got nowhere to stay. But for me, I was thankful for all that because it gave me a level of focus where I'm going to a different school. I don't know anybody. I'm behind academically. I got to graduate. So it's just, my circle was very small.
Right. Did you guys get a lot of love from these people, like that had more than you guys in school? Like, did they see the difference? Like, oh, yo, Brian, they're never coming through. Like, you know, we should probably help them. I bring that up because, like, for me, I think there's a big difference, like, definitely in, you know, Downey and sure is in Downey as well. Montebello. Big wealth gap between those two and, like, Encino. And, like, the type of money that I was exposed to, like, these people were rich.
You said Jewish, so that says a lot, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the Jewish community they're known to be tight, you know, within themselves and take care of each other and have a lot of money. So I did encounter, though, a lot of generosity, though. Like, these people, like, loved us. Like, we were, and it was known. It was like, yo, these are the poor kids that come from the hood. And people, like, really felt for us. And bro, we got gifted so much shit. Like, there was just so much love. So, you know, hearing that is like, I definitely relate, you know, to those feelings and stuff. But I'm wondering, like, and mind you, you guys were amongst Latinos.
Yeah.
I was amongst non-Latinos.
I didn't, bro. Straight up, I would hang around with the Mexican kids, and every day, like in high school when I was living in Bakersfield, I would go. I still remember his name was Diego. I would go to Diego's house. We would chill, work out.
What's Diego doing now?
I don't know. I don't talk to Diego anymore. But we were outsiders in the sense of, like, you know, after school, I would go to Diego's house. Legit, we would drink, you know, and I was like 14, 15 at the time. We would just drink, chill, work out, and then.
What did y'all drink back then?
It was like Modelos. Yeah, and if
my dad's Modelos or what? Huh? His dad's or your dad's Modelos?
No, well, he had older brothers that were gang affiliated from Compton out here, so their brothers would buy us beer, and we would just drink, just chill, drink, do stupid things, right? And and it was kind of like, oh, if my mom picks me up, you know, if not, I'll just stay over, and if she doesn't pick me, I'll just walk home, and that was a long walk. So that's what it was for me.
For me, I didn't feel any different as far as like they didn't treat me any different. I think everybody was just humble in a way. I mean, some people were not. I remember one funny conversation, and I think this is pretty funny. It was me and my friend James. You know, he came from like the same background, and like we were in this class or like the honors classes. So there was a lot of like people that had money in those classes too. And I remember one time in English class, like senior year, this girl was like, you know, one of those like Cali girls, you know, a little snobby. She had her parents, Latina, but her parents had money, a lot of money. And she's like, you know, I don't understand how you could be happy without money. Like, I don't get it. How can you be happy if you don't have money?
She said that to you.
She said that to us, yeah. And
it's a pretty deep question,
right?
Yeah, dude. And I was just like, me and my friend James, we were so pissed off. We're like, the fuck is she talking about? Like, we don't have money. We're happy as hell. What are you talking about? I think that's just a lot of pride, you know? But
pride from you guys?
Pride from us. Yeah, like broke pride. You know, we're like, what the fuck? You don't need money to be happy. But I think there's a little bit of truth to it and a lot of untruth. Like, I feel like you don't need money to be happy because happiness is an inside job. Like, you got to be happy on the inside because, you know, I came from nothing and I've had a ton of money now. And it's just like, at the end of the day, money doesn't change anything. Like, you have to be that person on the inside that's happy because everything that money brings is only temporary happiness. Like, for example, like you have a dream house, you have a dream swimming pool, you have everything. Like, that's only going to give you enough dopamine hits because you're going to get used to it. Driving a Lambo, that's only going to give you a certain amount of dopamine hits. At some point, you get used to it. Right? I mean, honestly, like, sometimes now I don't drive. At first, my first year with the Lambo, I drive like every day, bro. Like, people are like, man, you're gonna put a lot of miles on it. I don't care. Like,
that's what it's for.
Yeah, it's like
it's a car.
I ain't gonna keep her in my garage so I can sell it to somebody else so they can enjoy it. Like, I'm gonna enjoy it.
Right.
And
you worked hard for that.
Hard for that thing, dude. Yeah. And but now it's like I only drive it like once every like 4 or 5 days just for fun.
Drive it, bro.
We'll see, man.
Rent it out to me or something.
I might do that. I'll drive it like once every couple days now. I'm thinking about putting it on Turo, but every time I get in, bro, it's just like it does bring a joy. It's like a roller coaster every time. So it's like it is bring happiness to you. But it's not like you depend on that happiness. Right. You know, you have to be happy on the inside, and that comes from gratitude.
Right. You know? And I totally agree with you in that sense because, again, you know, not really having much, but having a good foundation with my dad and stuff, and he always taught me a lot of great things, you know, and there was a lot of moments where, again, you know, he was filing for bankruptcy. We were broke. We were riding the bus in East LA to go to his sister's house. Like, I'll never forget that day. And, you know, he had just got he had a Toyota Tundra. He got repoed. At the time, my dad didn't have papers. He was about to lose his job as well because they were asking him for papers. It was crazy. But him and I, we were riding that bus, and we were just laughing at the whole situation. And I remember my dad would always say, like, just never forget. In Spanish, me decía, nada más no se te olvida quien te quitaba el hambre. Like, don't forget who fed you when you were starving. Yeah. And he would always tell me that, and he would be like, look, no matter what situation you're going through in your life, just know you're going to eat. Like, there's always going to be somebody that's going to feed you, right? And, again, just laughing through those situations and just, bro, we're, like, dead broke, right? And that's when I realized, like, yo, you don't need, like, money is just a tool. Like, look at my dad and I. We're having a great laugh and a great conversation
on a bus ride.
And on a bus ride, and we're broke as hell. Yeah, you know.
But you're happier than a lot of rich people that have a lot of shit.
Right. So, you know, getting into a position where you start making money, for me, the biggest joy that brings to me about having money is being able to bless other people.
Right.
Fulfill their happiness. That's what brings joy to me about money. You know, but for me, money has always been a tool to set up other opportunities. That's the way I've looked at it. But that's what brings happiness to me, is being able to say, hey man, you know what? My cousin has this dream about doing this, and we were able to do it.
Nice.
You know, so that's how I look at it. And but yeah, like there's truth to it. You can be happy without money.
Yeah, I mean, I think about Honduras. Like, that's where my family's from, and I remember the first time I went to Honduras. I think I was like 10 or 12, and I remember like legit thinking like, "Yo, how are these kids so happy?" Like
barefooted,
no shoes. Like,
you see it in Africa too. Same thing.
You see that you see that everywhere. In third world countries. It's kind of a pattern where like they don't have much, but yet they have much, if you know what I mean. Like you said, it's an inside job. And I definitely strongly agree with that, because the money comes and goes. I've heard that money really enhances more of who you are. If you're that kind of guy that you're generous and you want to bless others, like if you're blessed with money, that's going to really enhance that out of you. And if you're the opposite, if you're like stingy and, you know, not so much of a good person, like if you do end up getting a lot of money, that's going to also come out. But in my opinion, I mean, happiness for me is something that I have personally with God. I think it really comes from my identity with him. And then money, like you said, Victor, is I really see it as a tool just to move things around and you know, accomplish certain things. But I will also say, you know, like you said earlier, there's some truth in that and not some truth in it. Like, money does enhance quality of life too, though.
Right. Yeah.
Like I just did, if you remember, we were doing a book club. It was me, myself, and another a friend of ours, and we're talking about Patrick Bet-David. He's got it was him, and I forgot the name of the title of the book. Do you remember? 5 Steps Ahead or something like that.
Your next 5 moves.
Your next 5 moves.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. Long story short, he's talking about just how the quality. There's a moment where like his dad got sick or something, needed to go see a doctor, and it was a long wait. I mean, I'm sure we've all been there where we've had to wait like fucking 2-3 hours for the dentist or a doctor, and that doesn't have to be that way. Like, what he exposes is that like if you get money, you can actually pay more to have like faster care or better quality. So I will say, like, nothing, you know, against money, but being very careful with it and knowing how to use it can be very advantageous.
Yeah, and to add on to that though, but I feel like today more than ever you do need money because of the way society's breaking down. Like
the way we're moving right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I have kids, I have 3 kids, and like I grew up in a public school, you know, but today's public schools I feel like are nothing compared to what we grew up in. You know, nowadays you have a lot of things being taught and a lot of things going on like that, you know, as a parent you want to protect your kids
100%.
You know? And you know, so I put my kids in a private Christian school. Even back then when I barely hit 6 figures, like when I first hit 100K, like I told, you know, my family that, hey, the first thing we got to invest in is our kids. Like, we got to put them in a Christian private school, just so they could be taught about God and be taught about morals and values, things that I believe in 100%. They grow up with that in the home with me, and then also outside the home in the school with their classmates, etc. And I think if you know, I've even been on like debates on TikTok recently, like people are talking about like, well, you know, you can't keep your kids away from that unless you do have money. And it's like, it's true. Like, if you don't have money, you're not able to take your kids away from all that stuff. So in a way, like, growing up, I felt like, man, it's my duty that, hey, one day I'm planning to have a family. One day I'm planning to have all this. I need to have the resources to give my family the quality life that they deserve to have. Especially living in California, man. It's like
crazy.
Like, I went to Texas. Speaking,
politically and everything, bro. Like, forget political, right? Like, I went to Texas last week to go visit some family. I was just in Houston
last week.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was in Fort Worth. And, bro, like, gas prices are $3.25 a gallon.
And that's expensive for them.
And that's expensive for them. Yeah, like, 4 years ago, it was like probably $150, right?
Exactly.
But it's just like, dude, it's $3.25 over there. And I come home and it's like $6.50, $6.80,
almost $7.
Yeah, it's like
to
to fill up a gas tank over there, you're looking at $50, $60, $70. To fill up a gas tank, here's like $120, $140. And it's just like, even though you want to not talk about money, you have to talk about money. And it sucks because I've gone to the gas stations out here and I see people put $10 of gas, $15 of gas, and I'm just like,
shit, I've been
that's
there.
1 or 2 gallons. Too, yeah, I've been
trying to get home. Like,
I put $2.
And it's just like, so as much as like you can't say, oh, you don't need money, like I feel like you need it now to survive in California.
Man, it's crazy, bro, because the world that we're in and the times right now,
we're moving right now, it's just crazy.
Yeah, what I'm seeing,
inflation, just everything.
Yeah,
I think we were talking about this actually over the phone. There's a big. I mean, the way I see it right now, what's becoming clear to me is that our government is intentionally building a culture and a society where more and more people are becoming dependent on the government.
Yeah,
where they're dependent on that free money, on those free checks, and I mean, you know, if you think about that, for the average Joe, that sounds like a great life. Like, okay, shit, I don't gotta do much except just collect this free money. Like, okay, I'm gonna just drink. But for that person,
that's
you know,
scary, bro. That is scary.
Right. For me, like, there's nothing attractive about that. To me, that's limiting. And more than anything, like what I really heard you say right now, Brian, as far as like your kids go, is like money's providing you to control the way you want to shape your kids. And without that money, really you're giving up the control to other people.
Correct.
Right. And that's the pattern that I'm seeing, and it is scary. It is scary because obviously the majority rules, and I just hope that we're able to, as generations, you know, Z and all the other freaking letters, I hope that we're able just to see the truth that, like, hey, you should have control of your own life, and you know, making money is not a bad thing, and why wouldn't you want to, you know, be in control? But it's a battle. It's a battle right now. But it's cool to hear, brother, that, you know, you're able to give your kids a completely different life. I mean, you know, than you had. And
no, it's beautiful, bro. I mean, I'm a big believer in God, you know, and I feel like where I am today is because of God, like straight up.
Same.
It's really cool to see the way my daughter is growing up, like in that Christian school. Like, we pray every time we eat. Even it's like becoming part of our routine. Like, I have a 1-year-old right now, and it's just like we sit down to have lunch or dinner, and like we try to pray every time we eat. You know, not every time we do something, but I try to. And my little 1-year-old, bro, like if
participating already?
No, forget that, bro. Like if we forget to pray, she goes like this. Oh. She's like, pray.
Yeah.
And she's like 1.5.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Already instilling that.
Yeah. And my 6-year-old, my oldest one, like she prays all the time. She like writes in her little diary things about God.
Briley, right?
Briley.
I got to meet Briley.
Yeah.
The two other ones.
Yeah.
You started popping them out, bro.
Yeah. I always want to have 5 kids.
It's Briley, Sky,
and London. London's the middle one.
You have 3. You want 5? You just said. You got.
Growing up, I always wanted a big family.
Yeah.
You know, so
I mean, we're Latinos. We're used to. We come from anything less than 10. Is
I
not
always
a family.
said, like, okay, if I was middle income, I'd have 3 max. But if I get successful, rich, I was planning to have 5. So
there you go.
Right now, I'm basically at 4 right now. So I'm chilling.
You're a dad girl right now, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I have a son that's
on the way.
Oh, shit.
It's like a week away. Yeah.
Hey,
it's like
bro,
1 or 2 weeks.
Congrats, man.
So finally, get to pass down the last name. You know, Lizama. Yeah.
Legacy.
So I mean, I don't know. You have 3 girls.
3 girls, and then my son's about to be born.
Yeah. Nice.
So, yeah. It's
congrats.
That was like low key the last thing on my checklist as far as family goes.
Being able to pass down the last name.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
Big. I'm the only male in my family. So I take that Rodriguez with pride.
Hey, man, I was thinking about this earlier. You know, it's like whatever last name you have, right? It's been passed down by a lot of generations. Like if you try to trace, I don't know if you guys have ever done that.
No, I haven't.
Try to like trace back.
No, I wanted to do that Ancestry thing to know what I made.
You should.
Did you do it?
I did that. Yeah, I did the Ancestry.
But I'm afraid that they'll connect me to some murder cases.
That's funny. That's funny.
You done it though?
Yeah, I did it on my pops. So,
what are you? I mean,
as far as like,
you did it on your pops?
Yeah, I did on my dad. So, I still have a kid at home. Right? I've been waiting to do it on my mom. But my dad's from Mexico, Colima. So he has like. I'm the dark one in my family, but my dad's like he has like 40%, like 40% Mexican blood, and then like 40% European, and then I think like 8% African. So it's like there's a lot of it's cool once you look at that. But the cool thing about it, the cool thing about Ancestry is you're able to actually trace your relatives. So I was able to go. Beforehand, I only knew my grandpa's name, which my grandpa died like 10 years ago. R.I.P. But because of Ancestry.com, I was able to go to my grandpa, his dad, which is my great-grandpa, his dad, my great-great-grandpa, and I went to his dad, which is my triple-great-grandpa, which is like born in the 1800s.
So they reveal not only where, but the people as well? Like
correct.
The names?
They have the records, yeah. So
that's dope.
Ancestry basically is
and
not
how accurate is it? What
very, yeah. So Ancestry, I don't know how they did it. Yeah, and I'm not plugging Ancestry.com, but it's pretty interesting.
We should get a sponsor.
Right. Sponsor me, the Brian Lizama. But yeah, no, what they do is they keep track of birth record books. You know, back then, no computers, right? So everything was written.
Right. That's why
birth records.
I question if it's really accurate, you know, because that's paperwork that could get lost.
This is the crazy part. So they have birth records, they have death records, and they have marriage records too. So I was able to see like where my grandma and my great-grandma, great-grandpa signed their wedding.
Wow.
I was able to see like when they had kids. And
does it tell you where they got married? Like
yeah, like Guadalajara and stuff like that. Yeah, I was able to trace all that.
And this is all information you didn't know before.
No, not at all. Like nobody.
Did your dad? Nobody knew.
Nobody, not my dad. Nobody, really none of my uncles and aunts know about this stuff.
That would be dope to do. I had an aunt that just came from Guanajuato.
Yeah,
and we celebrated her birthday here, and you know, just making conversation with her. I asked her, so how is it that our family got to Sonora, Mexico? That's where my dad's from, and she said, well, she's the first daughter, right, of 15. And
shoot. That's small, by the way.
That's a small family. 11 girls, 3 boys. No, excuse me. 12 girls, 3 boys. Yeah, my numbers are off.
The female genes run strong.
Right, yeah, definitely. So she was telling me that my grandfather was actually from Jalisco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, lived in Jalisco, had a business out there, a tire business, and they had a home. And he also was very into the music. He wrote music. The way they got to Sonora, she said that he wanted to buy his mom a house. My grandfather, right, wanted to buy his mom a house. So he sold his house, and I guess he used money from the tire business to buy his mom a house. But while using that money from the business, he was never able to make that money back. So the business went out of business. So then he wrote a song, she said, for a famous boxer at that time, and they actually performed that song, I guess during like a ring walk with that boxer, but then the boxer went downhill, like he lost, and it was just lost case, right? So she said somehow
the song was a curse.
But I guess the fight was in Sonora, and that's how they landed there.
Oh, okay.
And they got there, and he just started to build in Sonora.
That's
but
cool.
they're from Jalisco, which explains because my other aunt, she's light skinned, like Weta, you know, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, but it'll be interesting to know, like, obviously where my grandfather.
Yeah, check it out. It's crazy because you get to see like what age they were when they died and stuff, and you realize like, shoot, my great-great-grandpa or great-grandpa only lived to like 50.
Oh, shit.
So it gives you like a reality check. Like you don't really have a lot of time, and then it's like what I've take from it is like, dude, you're lucky to be alive. Especially we're lucky to be alive in this time because there's a lot more opportunities today.
Right.
And it's like, dude, to get to you, who knows how many people had to die? Who knows how many people had to successfully have sex to duplicate their genes for you to be alive? And it's just like, but the question is, what are you going to do with your last thing?
Right.
What are you going to do with your legacy?
What are they going to say about you?
Yeah, it's like, I always picture like.
When your kids look up Brian.
Who's the game changer?
Exactly. He bought a Lambo in 2016. Wow.
He went from
12
he took
speeding tickets. He was a G.
No, but it's for real. It's like somebody's got to be the generation changer.
Right. I totally agree
and break
with that.
a lot of family.
You feel like you're that guy, bro?
Yeah, I'm that guy.
Did you decide to be that guy, or how would you explain that coming about?
Yeah, I mean, just pretty much like I learned a lot growing up. And I think that's something important for everybody is like, you have to learn from other people what not to do.
Big time.
So
I totally agree with that.
I come from, like Mexicans love to drink, so.
Modelos at 14.
Yeah. Modelos at 14, getting drunk getting drunk in 9th grade. No, I didn't start drinking until I was like, I really don't drink that often, but yeah.
I didn't start drinking until after college. I was more of a stoner. High school, I had what you needed,
It was Celica.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But yeah, so I learned a lot what not to do. You know, like alcohol runs a lot in my family. Like my pops, grandpa, just a lot of things that you're kind of like family curses type of thing that I seen growing up as a kid. I'm just like, okay, I don't want to do that.
It's behavior that you're not drawn to.
I need to avoid that. Yeah, I need to avoid that. So I've always been a little like not afraid of alcohol, but just I avoid it. Like, I don't get accustomed to it. I'll still drink like socially.
Yeah.
But I learned that, and I've learned a lot like what not to do. So like when I see my parents struggling with the job, it taught me like, shoot, do I want to be in that situation? Like, no, I don't want to be struggling with a job. Like, I went with my dad to work construction like twice when I was like 14, bro, and I was like, fuck this, I'm not gonna work with my back. Like, it sucks, dude. I mean, no hate to anything. I mean, we can't have buildings without construction workers. You know, big up to the construction workers, engineers, everybody in the industry. But it's like for me, it's like I didn't want to do that. You know, and
it doesn't have to be you. Right?
Exactly, it doesn't have to be you.
That's the mindset there. Like, we need those people, but it doesn't have to be me.
Exactly. And so I learned right away, like, okay, I've always learned through life, what do you not want? That should gear you towards what you want more. So I've learned, like, you have to question yourself, question your beliefs, question where you come from, and ask yourself, do you want to continue to be that way? So I feel like through that, God being in my life, just trying to be the best person that I could be, make the best decisions, hanging around with the right people. I feel like it's getting already passed down to my kids, and I want to continue to do that. And I want to spread that to other people, because I feel like a lot of people don't really have the best role models nowadays.
Yeah.
So
right now, social media is like everybody's role models. You know, you log in, you see a video of this person. Yeah. And one thing, clout. Like one thing I will never understand is I seen a video of like I think it was Taylor Swift, right? Like right now, NFL, right now, it's all Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Cameras on her. But I seen a video of these girls at a Taylor Swift concert, and the moment Taylor Swift comes out, these girls are like freaking
dying.
This is their idol.
Yeah, so that's one thing that I would never understand is how people idolize, these people and put them in this pedestal. At the end of the day, they're just regular people as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've always heard, like, either your kids are going to have a poster of somebody else in their bedroom, or they're going to look up to you.
Exactly.
And it's just like, I'd rather have my kids look up to me, because you don't know what's out there nowadays, bro.
Sir.
Got a lot of crazy shit going on, and, got to be that role model.
100, yeah.
Because kids don't do what you say, they do what you do type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would hear that, too. Like, do you want that to be their superhero or you to be there?
Yeah, no. And it is pretty cool, because, like, to add on to the whole family generation thing, like now I'm seeing my daughters growing up, I'm seeing my nieces and nephews growing up, and it's just like you could see them get inspired by everything going on, like the house, the cars, and they're like, dude, what do you do? And this is crazy. I'll tell you, my daughter, one day I was driving home from LAX, and I had her in the Lamborghini, and we're driving, and she's like, Dad, how come? And she's probably 5 years old, and she's like, Dad, how come I don't see a lot of Lambos on the street, on the freeway? And I was like, well, because a Lambo it's very expensive. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, Lambo is like
How old
3.
Is your daughter, by the way, that's asking you this?
Right now she's 6. She was probably 5 at the time.
Okay.
She's like, how come I don't see Lamborghinis everywhere? And I said, well, because a Lamborghini costs about $300,000. The regular average car is $30,000. Yeah. So if you look at a Lambo, it's like worth 10 cars. Mm-hmm. And she said, why don't people just make more money?
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
she had the solution right
there. And I was like, well, most people don't really know about business. They don't think about business. They don't go into it, because we grew up in environments where we're not around that. So people, a lot of times, they get closed off and they get fenced into doing one thing, whether that's a job, career. I was blessed to be able to stumble upon business, because I didn't never like business growing up. I was against selling stuff. I was a shy guy, so for me it wasn't like in the plans. But
you were going to school as well, right?
Yeah, so I was at Long Beach State. I was a biology major, so I wanted to become a doctor.
Fucking hate biology. No offense. I took Bio 1. That shit whooped my ass.
It's not easy, bro.
Not at all.
I think that motivated me to go into business a little bit,
But kudos to everybody that's
I'm going to start selling.
Yeah. So, going to school for biology, and this goes into it, you got to question where you're at, because I was at Long Beach State freshman, sophomore year, and I seen a lot of kids taking biology classes. I'm just like, so there's about to be this school, there's other Cal States, there's also a lot of universities out there. So I'm about to get my biology degree, and there's about to be probably 10,000 other people with the same degree.
Competition.
This is not going to make me special or separate myself from anybody, you know? And when I got the opportunity to go into business, I saw people making 6 figures, 7 figures, and not the normal thing everybody does, you know? And I think that's where opportunity comes into play, is like, you got to be a contrarian. You got to do what others are not doing to take advantage of opportunities.
100%.
Right. It's like,
now, Brian, why do you feel that maybe people, if they do stumble across an opportunity, why they maybe quit too soon or never fully, you know, take advantage of that opportunity? What do you think it is?
Well, first and foremost, I don't think business is for everybody.
Right.
Like, some people are not meant for business. Some people don't like business, and that's cool. Like, everybody has their own flavor, like ice cream, you know? Yeah. You might like chocolate. I might love strawberry. Pistachio. Right? Pistachio, coconut.
A little salty.
It doesn't make anybody right or wrong, and I don't think everybody needs to be in business because everybody's different. We all have different talents.
That's what you said earlier, right? We need people in construction. Right. We need people to do. I think of the body, like, you know, is it's pretty deep, but like, is the hand more important than the foot? Like, everything has its own function. Correct. Just like business owners, doctors, lawyers. I feel you on that.
Yeah, yeah. And what was the question again?
Just like you know, when somebody gets involved.
Oh yeah, how come they give up? So it comes down, I would say, from like in my career and what I did in the finance field, I recruited hundreds and hundreds of people. Eventually, my business got up to 300 licensed agents all over Cali in different states. So I trained hundreds and hundreds of people.
So you've seen different types of personalities.
Yeah, I learned a lot about people in my career. And I would say it just comes down to, I think the number one thing is mentality and faith. So a lot of people, they lack that mental toughness and vision and faith to stick to something long enough to see it take off.
Right.
And when you start business, you're starting from rock bottom. You're starting from zero, and you're typically starting with zero proof. You know, like, it's not like a degree. When you get a degree, it's like, boom, I got a degree. I made it. You see people post their congratulations videos like, boom, I made it. Nobody congratulates you for starting a business. Right. Nobody sees that as a flex. Like, everybody's like, oh, okay, good luck, bro. Good luck with that thing.
And some don't even support it.
Yeah. Like, I was in Cabo San Lucas like a month and a half ago, and I was talking to my brother about this business that I'm starting, new company, and it's an amazing opportunity, and I'm very, very excited about it. It's my own company I'm starting, and the guy in front of me, like, we're taking the shuttle from like you know, ATV riding, going back to the hotel, and I'm telling him the whole story about what we're doing, the profit margins and all that. And as this guy in front, as I'm getting off the bus, the shuttle, the guy in front of me, he's like, hey man, I heard about your business. I just want to say good luck with that.
Wow.
But not in
like throwing a shot type of thing. Okay. Like, good luck. Like, that doesn't sound like it's gonna work type of thing. And see, a lot of people get affected by that. Right. A lot of people
stranger.
They let people's opinions judge their 100%. Decisions.
They influence it.
Yeah. And so when I started, you know, the finance business, I had a ton of negativity. A ton of people told me, don't do that. You're going to get brainwashed. You're going to ruin your life. You know, I've had parents that kick people out of their houses for doing business, you know, not following the traditional road. So I feel like you do have to have mental toughness to know that, hey, this is what I want to do. Even if you don't even know that you really want to do it, but you're like, man,
I'm going to give it a shot.
The potential of me achieving this goal is higher than anything else that I'm chasing. So why not chase the highest potential? And a lot of people, they don't see it that way. They just think today, now, where's my paycheck today?
And also, when you're chasing something that's bigger than you, I mean, I feel like in my experiences that it forces you to involve. You know, like, the person you are today is not the person that you're gonna be tomorrow. Yeah. You're gonna have more experience, your leadership, all that. Your whole mentality has to change, your whole mindset. And I feel that some people are just not willing to put in that work. Because for me, business is it's not only just business. You got to work on yourself as well. You know, because sometimes we're the problem. You know, our business is not succeeding because of us.
Your biggest enemy is always you.
Big time. And you know what, man? It's funny. I feel like I've been battling myself lately. So I used to have a personal trainer, And, at 6 a.m., that was our workout.
Okay.
Every morning. So I would wake up by like 5:30, bam. So I let go of the personal trainer. And, was I still going at 6 a.m. to the gym?
Why not?
Wasn't. So I was forcing myself to go. But my biggest battle was like, why is it that I'm able to do it for him, but I'm not able to do it for myself?
Discipline.
And money.
Not only that, but it was kind of like, I started evaluating myself. Okay, so the reason why I was going at 6 a.m. with him is because I'm a responsible person.
Made a commitment.
I made a commitment. But if I made a commitment to him, why can't I make that same commitment to myself?
Correct.
So, bro, I'll be in the gym, and I love going in the morning because that's where I evaluate all these things. So I'm in the gym, and I'm just like, pissed off, like, fuck, Vic, you got to get your shit straight.
Yeah.
Today, I'm waking up like nothing, like it's cake, going. And now I feel like I've went up that extra level where, okay, I defeated myself in that sense now. And also for me now, it's like when you're in that workout, it's like, when you're working out with your trainer, you're going super hard.
Yeah.
Now you got to learn how to push yourself, right? Because I feel like there's beast mode and then there's like numb mode. Numb mode is like you don't feel nothing at that point. You're going through that pain. I like to say you're fighting that trauma.
You're chasing the pain.
Yeah.
You're chasing the pain. Oh, yeah.
So that's a lot of things what I've noticed and evaluated in business is that you got to make a lot of changes within yourself, and business is going to really show you who you are and where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be your choice to either evolve from that and grow and go through those growing pains, or just say, nah, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to.
There's a lot of pain and stress that comes with being in business.
Yeah.
Like you have to have a high pain tolerance. You have to have a high stress tolerance, because when you're building a business, like, it's not only you relying on your business, but it's probably your family. It's probably, your future and the people that are in your business too. Right. If you have employees or, workers or agents, whatever it is, it's like all the pressure's on you. So it's like you have to be thinking the next step. And it's just like you're not even sure what the next step is sometimes, but you just have to be willing to take that step in faith, knowing that there's a chance you're going to fail. But if you're not chasing failure, you're already failing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like if there's no opportunity for you to fail, you're playing it safe. Right. So that stress, and then you
still end up failing because you played it too safe.
Yeah, you play it too safe, and the stress.
You brought me back, bro, to the first podcast we did, Money Moves, back in my house in the backyard. We talked a little bit about this, but earlier you said like you'll face negativity from people, and that stranger that gave you those kind, words.
Gestures there.
It's all motivation now, motivation, bro.
Exactly.
Nah, it's just like
he's gonna see this video and be like, "Damn, I was that guy."
It's because look, a lot of people you can't expect people to see your vision,
right?
That's why it's called vision. And people are visual. Like if people can't. Most humans, everything we take in is through our eyes, right? I mean, if you guys look at everything today, how much more aesthetic is everything today than 10 years ago? It's ridiculous, right? Why? Because we get excited. Like we look at a TikTok video, look at an Instagram video. And so with business, a lot of times it's something you can't see. So when you don't see it, people hate because they only judge what they can see. So they don't see the results. They don't see the success. They'll throw shots. And even when they do see the success and results, they'll still throw shots. So
those people are, they need.
On that note, Brian,
sure.
man, I just remember being in this meeting with you, and we're going into the following year. You were just coming from Texas, and you shared this story of what happened in Texas.
That's 2018. I remember,
bro. That right there, just hearing that story, I remember feeling so inspired. But I want you to share that, man. Obviously, maybe you weren't in a place where you wanted to be in your business, and you were getting obviously ridiculed, or all that stuff by I believe she was your sister, right?
Oh yeah.
And I remember you sharing that story, man. I was just like, damn. And I felt like from that moment, bro, everything took off. It was a different Brian. Yeah. And you started seeing it. Like, it's something about Brian now is different. Like it was personal, Yeah,
I feel, man, for sure that's a good memory right there,
bro. I remember that to this day because I was inspired by it. I felt that, bro.
Yeah, no, that was 2016 actually. Now that I go back into that, but one thing I've learned, guys, and this is huge because even when you're successful, you're still gonna have pain. You're still gonna have struggles and stress, man. And this year's been one of those years. not financially, but personally. And it's just like, but you have two options when you get pain. You can let it defeat you and let that pain make you depressed. Let that pain make you give up on your goals, your dreams, your whatever it is you're chasing. Or you could use that pain as a motivator. And I feel like a lot of just men in general, like when we see pain, we shy from it. And it's just like, nah, you got to use that pain to your advantage, you know? And I feel like you're going to have make or break moments in your life, and it's how you respond to those moments that makes you who you become.
That's how it defines you, defines who you are.
So 2016. So at that point, I had just had my first baby, first daughter. And, you know, again, I was going to go to school, be a doctor. My family knew this. And I was doing the finance business for 3-4 years at the time already. So I've been in it for a while. And I think at that point, I still wasn't even making $50K a year. Like 4 years in, not making $50K, not looking good, not looking hot. And, you know, and I love my sister to this day. She's one of my best friends, you know.
That's good.
Yeah. But, I mean, everybody's different. And so going through that period, and she helped me a lot. So basically, my daughter was born. And at that point, I had gone from living in my own apartment, having my own place, to having to move back in with my mom. And I was renting the living room. We converted it into a bedroom, and I was literally staying there. And, you know, I was like at rock bottom in a way.
Right.
And so it's like I had progressed, and then I had degressed on the outside. And so it's Christmas time. My sister came over from Texas, and she's just like, she pulled me into the kitchen. Everybody was like asleep or whatever. And she pulled me into the kitchen. She's like, hey, Brian, you know, when are you going to give this up? She's like, when are you going to stop doing this financial business? Like, it's enough. 4 years, look where you're at. You're living with mom again. You just have a daughter. Like, I'm honestly afraid that you're not going to be able to provide for your daughter with this opportunity. Like, think about it. If you were going to college, you would already have your bachelor's degree. You would already probably be getting through your medical program. Like, she told me, she's like, you're too smart for this business. Like, you're better than this. And she was crying because she was really worried.
It's a heart to heart.
She was worried about me. You know, she loved me. She was worried. She loves me. She was worried about me. And
she wasn't hating on you, right? She was looking out for you.
Concerned, yeah.
Concern. And
it was a genuine concern.
For real. And it kind of like, as a man, you know, our job is to provide, right? So I felt like, damn, that was a punch right to me. And like not believing in me. Because I feel like it doesn't matter what you do. It's who you are, right? It's like, I think a winner can win in any industry, any business, if that person's a winner. So for me, I was like, I knew it wasn't my business. It was me that I needed to improve on.
Right.
So that day, I just, you know, I had a heart-to-heart talk with myself, and, you know, I cried. We both cried. Yeah. And I told her, like, look, like, I came too far, and I'm very close to getting to where I want to go to give up now. And I said, and I was pissed. I was pissed off because I felt like, man, she was questioning me. But she wasn't questioning me. She was questioning the company.
Right. But as a man, you know, obviously, you got to take pride in that.
Yeah. In that sense. So I cried, and I was just like, that night, I was in my room, and I said, fuck this. Like, I'm never going to let myself be in this situation again. I'm never going to let anybody question what I'm doing in business. And I'm going to go from working 8 hours a day. Now I'm going to work. If I'm working from, let's just say, back then I started working from 10 a.m. to like 8 p.m. 8 p.m. What is that? 8 hours, 10 hours a day. Like, now I'm going to work from 7 a.m. till midnight every single day. And that day I decided to really, like, grind like nobody's business, you know.
And I could attest to that because I remember that meeting. And from that moment on, your business took off. And I remember I would tell myself, like, that was his defining moment right there. So shout out to your sister.
Shout out to Diane. Love you, D.
Everything happens for a reason, you know, and that I could picture that. Like, I'm sure that, you know, definitely brought you like in a place of you maybe even doubting yourself too, and like maybe agreeing with her and like, okay, so what am I going to do now? It takes me back to what I was going to say earlier on the money moves part. Like, I had a conversation like that with my dad. You know, I went to school, I got my bachelor's and whatnot. I did 4.5 years sociology, and I started doing, you know, the financial services opportunity. And I was broke for a year, 2 years. I mean, I was broke till like age 28, to keep it a buck, right? Yeah. But I just remember one of those convos with him, and you know, to me, my dad has always been someone that, you know, he's been like my mom and dad, so he's someone that I have a lot of respect for. But I knew early on, and especially with what we learned at this company, and just they teach us about who to listen to, and a business owner versus someone that's employed and self-employed. I knew where my dad fell in that category and where I wanted to be, right. So I knew to be careful with like, yo, yeah, he is my dad. Like, you probably thought the same thing. Like, yo, this is my sister, and there's a lot of love. We're family. But like you said earlier, that vision though isn't there, and we got to be very careful and protect that, and kind of be violent in a good way, where like we got to fight for what we believe in. Because you said it earlier, it's hard work and faith, right? So I remember that combo with my dad where it truth be told, it got ugly, where we threw shots at each other, and I said some things that I shouldn't have said. That's an argument type of thing. Yeah, and it's just emotional, heated in the moment, and you're making me feel bad. It's like, well, I'm gonna make you feel bad, but it was a test. More than anything, it was a test. Like, all right, bro, now what? You've just been called out. You're broke. You don't have money. You're saying this opportunity is all this and that, but you're not living proof of that. Right. Like, so those defining moments, man, are so powerful, and I'll never forget that. And it definitely, has fueled me to do what I've had to do and be there
today.
Exactly.
If not, you would have folded.
Yeah, and like you said, and once you do make it, whatever that looks like, it still comes. The challenges just look differently. The pain, the stress, like you said. But I strongly believe that we just get better at dealing with that, and knowing how to move through it. Bro, what's a defining moment for you? Like, I'm curious.
You know what, bro? For me, it was being in the position of not succeeding in this financial business, and I remember asking my dad for money.
That's weird, huh?
Yeah, it's weird. And
because you're supposed to have the money.
Exactly. Because I've been saying like, hey, Dad, I'm gonna take care of you. My dad has this memory of me in Vegas telling him that I was gonna buy him a car and things like that. And here, fast forward, I'm asking for him for money.
Dad, I need a car.
So I was in a position where I needed money, and I asked him for money, and he gave it to me. But I just felt so guilty in my heart, where I was like, damn, this is gonna be the last time I ever asked my dad for money. Not that he made me feel bad about it. It was, I felt bad about it.
Winner inside of you.
Yeah, where I was just like, yo, like fuck,
Not me.
This is not me. And I've always been very independent. I never asked my parents for anything. So being in that position, having to ask my dad for money, I just remember that feeling. Like, fuck, man, this fucking sucks. Like, I don't ever want to be this broke again. And I talk about it now, but before, it was hard for me to talk about it because it was hard for me to accept where I was at. Like, I didn't, I feel like I would be made fun of. Today I could speak about it because, this is my story, this is my journey. But that was my defining moment, asking my dad for money. And it wasn't little, like $100. It must have been like $500. But the fact that he gave it to me, it showed me a lot, that he didn't question me. He didn't say,
he didn't judge you.
He didn't judge me. He gave me the money.
His family
still helped.
That showed me a lot of love. And I said, yo, if there's anybody that's in my fucking corner, it's my dad. Didn't question me, gave me the money. And that's where I was like, man, that's love. And I got to repay this man back, with my hard work, my dedication. And that's where a lot of things came into place, where I'm like, okay, I got to make changes in my life. Where I'm at right now and what I'm doing is not working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shout out to parents, bro.
Big time.
Yeah, for real.
And so that was my defining moment. That's where I'm like, okay, like I'm being loyal to over here, but I'm not being loyal to myself. And that's where, I think I hit you up, and it was like Thanksgiving, and I'm like, yo, like, we got to talk. I'm ready to make some changes and see where I could go.
Yeah.
And thank God, this year I've been able to experience a lot of things that I never been able to experience before.
Yeah.
And,
it's good to see that. I mean, me being, alongside you and seeing you grow and seeing you accomplish, these things. It's, number one, I'm proud of you, on a bro to bro, type shit. And good for you, bro. That's, God is with you, you know what I'm saying? And if he's with you, like, who can be against you type of thing.
Right.
It makes me think about it, and I want to get your guys' perspective on it, but a question that I've gotten a lot from just like viewers, like especially like on Instagram, like I move a lot through Instagram, and I think this is a good place to bring this up and each provide our help on this, our viewpoint, because we're we're in that position where a lot of people want to be in. And the question is this, like, I've had several people ask me, like, how do you know, like, if you should pursue business? How do you know if you should, like, pursue working for yourself? And I'll go first, because what I've responded to that is, you know, I had this one girl DM me where she's like, hey, I work in a company, I work a 9 to 5, you know, but I just feel limited. I feel like I should be doing more, and I'm happy, but I also realize that, like, going back to, like, our money talk earlier, like, we need money now more than ever.
Right.
She's like, I also realize, like, yo, what I'm making is not going to get me the kind of lifestyle that I want. And so I said, look, I think the answer is in your answer right there. Like, I think, you know, for anyone that feels limited, you know, if that's something that's, like, going through your emotions, going through your head, like, yo, I feel like I have more potential than, you know, what I'm displaying right now at my job. I feel like there's more, you know, the more of a curiosity to explore either a business venture or something else. I think that's a sign right there. You know, whether you're going to be successful or not, I think that's going to be subjective on you, you know, and how much work and how much belief you put into that. But like you said earlier, not everybody's meant for business, because at the same time, there's some people that don't think that way. There's some people that are 100% okay with being at a job 9 to 5. Yeah. They're happy. They're not thinking what could be more. They're cool. And like you said it earlier, I just want to echo that. We're not here to knock on, you know, anybody that's like that. Everybody's got a certain role, and I think as long as you're happy, you know, if that means a 9 to 5 or a business, I think that's all that matters. No one could ever take that away from you. But I think if you're someone that's feeling like, yo, there's more, I got to do more, I think that's a sign within itself that you should definitely explore more and go after it. And my advice would be, like, find something that you're passionate about, that you like to do, and go for that. You know, I think you hear it often, like Gary Vee, someone that I listen to a lot, and he just talks about monetizing, like, your passions. And if you could end up doing something you really love, make a lot of money from it, I mean, that would be a win-win. But for you guys, like, Brian, I guess we'll start with you or whatever.
Let's start with me first.
Take it away, V.
Yeah. So for me, kind of just piggyback what you guys have been saying. I don't believe business is for everybody, and everybody's situation is different, you know. But I do believe that you have to have some type of skill. There's something that you're really good at. Right? You have a special skill that can make and produce money for you. So I could only talk about my experiences. So I've used the job to fund my businesses. You know, there was times where I was working as a waiter. I was working with my dad as well in his produce business. But I used that money to fund what I really wanted to do. And look at what you guys are seeing now, right? So I believe that you have a skill. You know, I'm going to use my sister Elizabeth as an example. My sister Elizabeth has a full-time job, but her skill is making flans. She makes some really, really good flans, right?
Fire
flans. We're getting into the holiday seasons. Everybody likes flans for Christmas, Thanksgiving.
I know where I'm going to taste some flan.
So my sister Elizabeth makes flan. She takes it to her job one day. People love it. A coworker says, hey, can you make me one and I'll pay you for it? My sister goes, oh, shit. He says, how much would you charge me for one? So my sister's like, yo, I've never charged. She comes home, makes the fly, and the guy pays her. Next you know, someone else requests
orders
are coming in. So my sister Liz is like, yo, like, I can make money off of this. So that's her skill. Her skill is she mastered how to make flans. So you, as a person, you have your skill set. There's something that you're really, really good at it, and I guarantee you, if you apply it, you can make money from it. Because business is all about opportunity. What's the next opening? What's the next opportunity? How can we produce income from this, right? And you don't have to leave your job. Use your job. Use what you make to fund that and see where it goes, right? And then eventually, if your business starts doing good, you can start, expanding and things like that. So do I believe business is for everybody? No. But do I believe you have to have a skill set? Yes. I believe we all have a skill set. Look at today's time with social media, TikTok. People pay people get paid just to watch us speak, you know. That's the crazy part to me. So learn a skill and see where it could go for you in that sense. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's very true, bro. And you hit on something super, super important in my opinion. Like, a lot of people also think that, like, oh, I got to quit my job, quit everything I'm doing and go full throttle.
So look, the reason why, again,
no, you're good.
I'm sorry to cut you off, bro, but because people, the crazy part for me is that people would say, yo, I need a second and third job. No, fuck all that. Why don't you just master that skill? Put that time and effort that you were about to go put at a job for 5 hours to that skill set and see what you could get out of it. So
yeah. And that's if you have the desire to do something, like start your own business. But again, if that desire is not there and you feel like you got to get a second or third job, you know, do as you please. But that's actually one of the mistakes I made. Like, when I first started, I went full time, no job, and I was broke for a long time. And I think that if I could I mean, obviously no regrets and everything plays out just the way it's supposed to. Yeah. But if I could redo things, and I just had a meeting with these 2 girls that are interested in joining the business, these licensed agents. And we had a moment where I made one of them laugh because the place where they're at, they're being told, like, no jobs. You can't have a job. Doing this part-time, not acceptable. You're going to be fired. And it is wild because, like...
And that's what ruins opportunities, to be honest.
But it takes time. Like I'm going to keep it real. Starting a business is scary as fuck. I'm speaking for myself. Maybe both these gentlemen have all the confidence in the world. I'm still developing my confidence. I'm still learning the business. It's still scary every day because we could go out of business any day. So it keeps me on my toes, but... You feeling scared, you feeling fear, feeling doubt, normal, completely normal, but it's how you respond. It's you know what these 2 were talking about earlier is like, all right, when that test comes, is like, are you going to give in to that? Like, yeah, you know what, this is the end of my road here, or will you fight that and still go after it? So my respect to everybody that has a business. Again, put some time into it, and also, like, trial and error. You know, Brian's talking about failing forward. Like, you know, there's so many stories of people that start multiple businesses, and it's not until that 10th or 20th business that, oh, this is the one. Like, all of those previous business opportunities, you know, had a purpose. They were building you up, shaping you to get you ready for that next business venture. So I think step number 1 is, like, realizing that within yourself. If you feel like, yo, I think I should, do it. Do it, because if you're anything like us, like, I couldn't live with myself not doing it, because to be like, damn, like, what if, like,
you don't want to live with that.
Nah, what if, nah. I mean, at least we don't. Like, that's, you know. But Brian, what would you say, brother? Like, someone, hey man, how do you know I should go into business? Because I mean, you touched on it a little bit, and if you don't mind sharing a little bit more, but like, you were on your way to being a doctor, right? You were in medical school, and you know, that was your path. But what made
the transition?
Like what for you?
Great question. Yeah, so I think number 1, if you have even a little desire to go into business, that's speaking to you. There's a little. I think everybody has a voice inside of them. I call it like the dreamer voice. That has a dream, that has a desire for something. And if you have that, feed that voice. Don't shut that voice down. Feed it. Number 2, so going into that, I was at Long Beach State University, and I came to that point in my career where I was like, okay, I could keep doing business part-time, which I was doing very well part-time. I was making like $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month part-time.
That was this is in 20,
in like 2013, 2012. Which was for me great, because compared to my old job at FedEx, I was making $1,250, so it was an upgrade.
30 bands part time.
Yeah, and so when I was in school, what made me make that jump or that transition was that I literally thought about my life as a fork in the road. What is this going to lead me to? What is this going to lead me to? Okay, and so I thought, okay, medical field, doctor. Okay, it's going to take me 7 to 8 more years of school. Probably I'll be $100,000 to $200,000 in debt by the time I graduate.
Consider that, yeah.
I'm probably gonna barely start grinding in my 30s as a brand new doctor to establish myself. Maybe have a practice at 35 or 40, and then continue to grind for the rest of my life as a doctor. And I've seen it firsthand. You know, my first daughter was born. I was a doctor. He delivered my daughter. He was like 73, hated his job, kept doing it. So
did he tell you he hated his job? Like, yo,
his expressions and everything, like
said it all.
Every time
he didn't need to say it.
No, every time I walked into that hospital, bro, it was bad.
You could just feel it.
Yeah, nah, it was my first daughter, so I was like expecting it to be magical and like a good experience with the doctor. Now every time I walked in, he was like, all right. I remember my first time walking into the doctor's, he was like, I was taking a picture of the ultrasound. He's like, oh, you can't take pictures of the ultrasound because, are you married? I said, no, I'm not married. All right, you can't take pictures because if she wants to, she could sue you for you taking a picture.
Wow.
I'm like,
straight
yeah. I'm like, bro, this is my first kid. I'm excited. Yeah. I thought you were gonna congratulate me or something, you know.
The lawyer in him came out.
Yeah, and every time I came in, like it was a rush. And one day I just asked him. I said, hey, doctor, if you don't mind me asking, like, how come you don't retire? Because he was already like 75.
You should go.
And I told him, I was like, because I see you're not really happy. You're always in a rush. Like,
you told him that?
Yeah, I told him straight up. Yeah. And he's like, and he looked at me. He's like, you know, and it kind of like, I think it hit him or something. Because he looked at me and he's like, well, I can't retire. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I've been a doctor for 40 years and I can't retire. Like, I can't retire. I can't afford to retire. And I said, what do you mean? Like, he's probably making $400,000 or $500,000 a year or more. And he said that he didn't have enough investments to retire.
Dang.
What?
And I said, well, who manages your money? And he's like, my wife. And I was like, oh, is your wife a financial planner? No, stay-at-home mom. I was like, so what'd you guys invest into? Real estate. And apparently he didn't have enough to retire. I don't know how, but he didn't. And so that made me kind of happy.
You know how wifey's buying all the designer.
Right. And so long story short,
decorating the houses.
So long story short, you know, I had looked at my career paths and I was like, okay, if I become a doctor, it's going to take me this much time and I'll probably be financially free in my mid-40s.
Right.
And I said, if I go down the entrepreneurship path, I'm going to have to grind on my 20s. I'm going to have to miss a lot of birthdays. I'm going to have to miss a lot of partying. I'm going to miss a lot of fun, quote unquote, sacrifice, a lot of things. But the trade-off is that I'll be in my 30s and I'll be financially free. And I said,
so it was a faster route for you that you saw in your head.
Correct.
That to you is like, I could enjoy my kids in my mid 30s as opposed to like when they're already adults and miss that.
100%. And I just figured, okay, it's worth taking the risk because if I'm able to be financially free by 30, that was worth it versus barely starting my life at 30 as a doctor. So that's what made it a no-brainer. And I said, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work for me, I could always quit and go back to school. But if it does work, if let's just say I didn't try it and I was a doctor at 30 or 32, I could never go back to being a young entrepreneur. So I said,
I'd grind.
Correct. So I was
now
like,
you got to start at 32 to put that grind in.
Yeah, man. And I'll
then
tell
you had no
like,
kids either. You had more time.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, like, just to tell you guys the benefits and the life of a financial free person, man. I mean, the last 2 years, man, I've been able to actually enjoy a lot in life. Traveling. My daughter, that's like 1.5. She's been to like 10 flights, bro. She's only 1.5, right?
That's sick.
Yeah, man. I only flew once from childhood to turning 18 to Colima, Mexico. That's where my dad's from.
Shout out Colima.
Shout out to Colima. But yeah, dude. So the last 2 years and especially the last year, I'm used to working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, being the first one in the office, last one to leave. But the last two years, bro, I've been able to cut down and like spend a lot of time with family, travel, do homework with my kids, go to field trips with my kids. You know, being able to spend time with my parents now, just enjoying life. And
I got the chills you saying that, man, because I could just picture you just kind of being in those moments. And I'm sure that in every moment that you spent with your family and your children, I'm sure you think about it and you say, man, it was worth it.
100%.
It was going through all the bullshit. Yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah, no, it's 100% worth it, bro. And again, like now, the last year, man, it's kind of I told somebody the speech the other day, like it's almost embarrassing. Like I think I only work 3 hours a day now. Like if that.
Yeah, we have similar. We're going through. I mean, he knows. Like Lord knows that I'm probably when it comes to like making personal sales, not really happening anymore. Yeah, and I think we can both attribute it to the same thing of like building a big business to where the passive income is coming in. So I can totally relate, and I just you know, it's a dream come true. I mean,
Marlon works like 1 hour now.
You know,
I call Marlon. Hey, what are you doing? I'm at the jacuzzi.
That's
but you know, it's like it's what we wanted, right? Like that was the whole vision. Is you just said it is like to be financially free in your mid-30s, so you can so you can enjoy your kids, you can actually travel, and that's a very similar trade-off that I've seen too, where it's like, okay, I used to have a performance coach like about a year and a half ago, and one of the maybe the hardest question that she ever asked me, and I could tell like me and her, we had different mindsets and perspectives. And she goes, because I was grinding, like it was like back then it was grind mode. It wasn't, I didn't have the luxury of a big team and passive. It was like, bro, it's a lone wolf. You need to, get this shit right now yourself.
Yeah.
She goes, Marlon, you work a lot. Like, are you cool with missing out on all of this time with your family? Like, you understand, like, you're not going to get that time back.
Right.
And in the moment, like, because I was in the field and I was ready to go to an appointment.
Like, I don't care. Let's go.
In the moment, it's like, yeah, I'm born for this. Like, this is what I signed up for. And I'm fully aware that, like, that's the trade-off. And it's what you said earlier. Like, this is going to be, if done correctly, if you apply yourself like you're supposed to, you can reach these things quicker. And it's one of those things, too, where I talk to a lot of people. We talk about, like, investments and stuff, and it's like, I'm not trying to retire at 59, 60. Like, I'm not trying to get my money from an investment
according
account.
to Social Security, like 67 and a half.
67, they keep making it higher and higher. Like, Lord knows what it's going to be by the time we're that. Like, we don't, and it comes back to that whole control thing earlier. Like, if we want things, like, quicker, but, like, also in a realistic way and the business route, like, that's definitely a way to go about it. So it's cool, bro, to hear that, you doing that. Like he said, I'm sure it's all worth it and stuff. And
seeing the freedom from it, man. I believe you posted something. You were in a flight with your father, and I was like, damn, that's on my list now too. Because I don't think people ever think about that, but I started thinking about, like, damn, when's the last time my dad flew? In an airplane.
That's I want to talk about that for a sec, bro. It's like a lot of people flex. A lot of people flex on the gram. Mm-hmm. They go on flights and vacations, but when's the last time you took your parents on a vacation?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've been doing that for the last few years. Like, I've taken my dad to Hawaii.
I've seen that, man.
Miami, my mom too.
And just the smile on their face, it's kind of like the child in them starts to come out.
Yeah,
and
man.
that's where
you could make the money back that you're gonna spend on them, but the most important thing is the memories they're gonna go ahead and die with one day. Is that, hey, my son did I see my dad the other day talking to my aunt about the Hawaii trip? Like, his memory of the trip is so vivid, it's insane.
Like it was yesterday.
Yeah, he talks about it like, dude, a cup of water or like a beer was like $12, and he talks about how, like, all the things he experienced in Hawaii. And it's crazy because for me, I don't even really remember that vividly because I'm already used to traveling.
It's a norm for you now.
But for him, it was like he has that cemented in his brain. Like, shit, I went to Hawaii, flew on a helicopter with my son, like, didn't have to worry about $1.
I'm getting the chills.
Yeah, man. And I mean, honestly, like, just people in general, like, give back to your family. I'm not here to say like, oh, I'm higher than anybody. No, bro. I've been in the bottom. I'm nobody. I'm nobody. But I would say, like, a lot of times we're okay giving to ourselves, or okay giving to even your significant other, but it's like, don't forget about your parents, because they're the motherfuckers that housed you. They're the people that
they paid the price.
They brought you to this country, or they birthed you to do something. And whether or not, even if you don't have parents, whoever you want to give back to. Right. But that's worth it, bro. That's worth it. Just that alone.
That's huge, man. And just hearing you say all that gives me the chills, because obviously I have a great relationship with my father and stuff, and those are things on my list. Being able to travel, even though he, quote unquote, doesn't like to travel, but I'm sure I'll get his ass.
You take him to the right place. I love it.
My dad's afraid of planes and shit. We were at the airport going to Texas, and I was like, why are you looking nervous, Dad? He's like, I'm afraid of flying. I'm like, I was like, oh, it's okay, Dad. I used to feel afraid too. I used to be I'd be so paranoid on planes, bro. I'd be looking at people like, bro, why is she on her phone? We're in the air. Like, is she a terrorist? Like, what's going on? Like, bro, you get the craziest ideas.
Paranoia, bro.
Yeah, dude. But once you get used to it, you get used to it.
Yeah.
But just that memory that he's gonna be able to live with. I'm sure that deep in his heart, he's proud of you. of the man that you've become. And
even though Mexican parents never tell you they're proud of you, but you know in their heart they're proud of you.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're sharing stories of like, look what my son did and where he took me. Like, that's their way of showing it. That right there is
priceless.
Yeah,
you know, and sure. that's why I get the chills. You know, I'm picturing myself in Hawaii with my pops right there.
Yeah.
Mijo.
Yeah, hell
but, yeah. In business, going back to that advice, right? The biggest thing I feel like stops people is just fear, you know, and I think everybody has that fear. Everybody does. Like, even to start a podcast, you have fear. To go to a boxing class, you have fear. Like, everything, fear basically is just the your brain not knowing the results of the next step.
The uncertainty.
The uncertainty. Yeah. So if you can't see the next step, that automatically triggers fear in your body, which is normal. Not to say, oh, I don't get fear. That's why. No, hell no. I had a lot of fear, bro. Right. But you have to learn how to live with that fear and do it anyway. You know. Right.
For me, man, one of my biggest fears was always like, what is this person gonna say or think? You know, and I think a lot of people go through that. It's like the fear of judgment or ridicule, and is this person still gonna talk to me or this and that? And you know, being able to overcome that is like, yo, what I've learned about all that, and I'm sure you guys could relate, is that no matter what you do, people are always gonna have something to fucking say about it.
Always.
Whether you fail, they're gonna say, "Oh, why fucking you weren't gonna make it? We told you."
Yeah.
But if you make it, they're still gonna be talking shit, and they're gonna say like, "Oh, it's because because of this, because of that." Oh, you made it because this person helped you.
Or they'll switch up and be like, "I told you would, bro."
Right? Yeah. So
I told you you'd make it.
No matter what I've learned about that, and that's how I was able to overcome that. Whereas like that fear was like, yo, no matter whether you do good or bad, people are always gonna fucking talk about you. Yeah. Let's give them something to talk about.
And just figure it out as you go too. Like, bro, we barely have our podcast name.
Yeah.
Like we've been going back and forth. We call each other, dog. What are we calling? We don't fucking know. And like,
just take action.
Yeah.
Just take action. Figure it out as you go. Fell forward. Do what you love. Put in the work. Like,
and visualize. Figure it out. Visualize where you want to go, and let that vision drive you. Visualize it, man. Visualize it.
Man, love life every day. Love where you're at, whether you're in a bad situation or great situation. Love where you're at right now. And that's my biggest thing, is just really soak in where you're at, enjoy every moment, and continue dreaming. A lot of people stop dreaming. And my biggest thing with you is continue dreaming, continue writing goals like Lizama. I love hearing that. 2014 had his Lambo, and now we got the Lambo outside. Like, continue working towards your goals, and forget what people got to say, whether it's good or bad. Stay in your lane, and only you know where you're going. So
that's right,
man. Just love life, love the journey.
Let's go, baby.
It's perfect.
Any last sayings, man?
For me, if I could just wrap it up with this, guys, just have a dream in life, have something you're gonna fight for, and life isn't gonna give you anything for free. Don't expect people to give a fuck about you. Nobody's gonna care about you as much as you're supposed to care about you.
It's real.
I'll tell you, like, one of the things I've learned this year is, like, even the people that say they care about you, and I'm not talking family, because I feel like family, like, is real, but a lot of people that you meet in business and a lot of people you meet in life, like, they might say they care about you, but at the end of the day, it's a competition. And I'll tell you, like, Tom Brady never liked anybody in the NFL that was not on his team. And that was just his desire to win, right? Which is fair. But what I mean is that you're going to be in places, guys, where people don't want you to win as much as them. And that's okay. People are going to tell you, hey, bro, I want you to win. And they're probably going to stab you in the back when you're not looking. And you're either going to let that really get to you and make you sour, or say, you know what? It's just human nature. Humans, it's
supposed to happen.
Yeah, it's supposed to happen. So at the end of the day, it's like, look out for you. Look out for your family. Look out for your future. And everything else is going to work out. Right? Yep. So I ended up with.
Love that.
Perfect. Brian, well, thank you, brother. Appreciate your time.
Yeah,
seriously, you sharing the insights. It's good to see you do what you're doing and hearing about your success. I mean, who would have thought, right? Like 8 years later, here we are on the podcast, chopping it up. We each have our, business ventures. I want to hear more about these other two companies too. So first of many, I hope that in the future we can, see you again and bring you on board.
Yeah, of course. And then if you guys are watching this, if you guys got something from this, share this with your friends and family.
Please, help us spread the word, and, let's go from there. So thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Of course.
Thank you, Vic.
My man.
Let's go, baby.
Yes, sir.